Welcome.
Hello from Sheila. I am one of the co-chairs at the Tiki Oasis Diversity and Inclusion Council. Welcome to the Tiki Oasis's monthly series focusing on subjects of history, appropriation versus appreciation of cultures, minority cultures, Tiki culture, and mid-century Americana. The goal of this series is to provide a forum for education, knowledge, and conversation. Through this series, we invite marginalized groups to amplify their voices, to share their knowledge and experiences. We invite advocates and allies to ask questions, and we invite all to contribute to the broader discussion on diversity, inclusion, and representation and equality within the Tiki community. As we dive into our monthly series, there are many topics to unpack, discuss, and understand that are part of the current Tiki culture. Our topic this month is Coming Out Tiki, the first ever panel showcasing individuals from our growing LGBTQI2S plus Tiki scene, with more to come. We are supporting the Lavender Luau and other LGBTI plus Tiki meetups and events. Let's get less taboo and find a way out of ourselves. A way to out ourselves and welcome our queer friends and allies. Throughout the conversation, please put your questions in the chat or the Q&A section if you are on YouTube. And also please note that this talk is a benefit for NQAPIA, a federation of LGBTQ Asian and American, South Asian, Southeast Asian, and Pacific Islander organizations. Woo, a mouthful. We will also be collecting donations today for our ASL interpreter, Karen, and for the NQAPIA. So please make your donation via PayPal to tikioasis@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring our host, also from the Diversity and Inclusion panel, Bernie. He will be bringing our panel members up. Please welcome Bernie and our ASL interpreter, Karen.
Okay, learned my lesson. Welcome. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for bringing out your flag. You know your own flag. So I have my identity as my gay and deaf, hard of hearing identity on the DNI Council. I'm going to take that hat off. Enough about me. But I put on my moderator hat. I may sign a little bit for myself, but Karen here is obviously signing. Got to put my mask on. I have a couple of people coming in and out. First, let me introduce by alphabetical order from my notes. Who's joining us for Pride for Tiki? Let's see, let's all turn our cameras on and wave hi when I call your name. I have first off, by alphabetical order, Tonga, Congo, Cameron, openly Tiki, Ninth Island native, connoisseur of kitsch and good and bad art alike. Wave hi, Cameron. We also have Eric Jost, our Tiki tours from SF. Wave hi, Eric. Julian Jetson, stylist, manager of Iconic Atomic, and our queer space cadet. Wave hi, Julian. Miss Kitty Baby, burlesque dancer, go-go gal, and Tiki pinup, who's a femme to be reckoned with. Proudly the co-founder of Lavender Luau, a queer Tiki group. Check them out on Facebook. Laura Gar, I don't see on here yet. Marshall Shore, our Arizona hip historian. And last but not least, Sarah, Miss Tiki Oasis finalist 2019. Wave hi, folks. Good to see you all. All right, so let's dive right in. Let's see. Before we dive in, I want to remind people. I know we wanted to have as many people as possible on our panel. We put out some feelers, but we couldn't invite everyone because there's so many people already jam packed in. So June 26th, Saturday at 5 p.m. we have a happy hour for Please join us all on a big happy hour. We'll have a Zoom and we can all join in. Oh, look, see, Marshall's already got his drink. He's starting now. So is Julian and Kitty Baby too. Some of us on the panel will join you then. Some of us won't. Happy Pride. We will see you around, if not at Tiki Oasis, at not our happy hour. All right, I'm going to dive in. I swear I'm going to dive in. Okay, my first question, out of the blue, not really. We've been planning since March. How have you all found a connection to other LGBTQI2S plus Tiki fans out in the world, or Tiki Oasis? I'm going to start by asking you, alphabetically ordered, Tonga Conga Cameron, what do you think?
Yes, especially during the pandemic, the virtual events and social media have really helped. Yeah, I've met a lot of more people as of recently. I think people don't think there's others out there, unfortunately.
All right, so I will let you jump in if you'd like, but Eric Jost, how would you like to answer that?
Well, great. Thank you for hosting today, Bernie. You know, I haven't been to a Tiki Oasis in person yet. This will be my first year. And so thanks to Google or Facebook, like Lavender Luau, I began like a couple years ago seeking out a queer Tiki community. And again, as Cam said with the pandemic, like really that group has been where I'm able to find that connection right now at this time.
Nice. And of course, I forgot, if you'd like to identify yourself, either LGBTQI alphabet, ethnicity, or whatever you'd like to do, that would be wonderful too. Cameron, I kind of hinted at that. You're 8th generation Pacific Islander, right?
Say it one more time.
What's your ethnicity that you are identifying as?
I'm gay.
Okay. And then Derek? Identity.
Yeah. So again, I'm Eric. I go by he, him pronouns, and then I also identify with gay or queer, and I am white.
All right. So same question to our double question, if you want to share your identity, and also the question. Julian, Justin, you're up.
Oh, I am. I use the pronouns he, him, she, her, they, them. I am all inclusive. What do you want to call me? You want to call me boyfriend, girlfriend? I'm okay with all of that. I identify as a gay cisgendered man, queer. I am also very, very, very multi-ethnic and racial. Like I got a little bit of everything going on. So that's me. Oh, and what was the other question?
Yeah, we're jumping around. That's okay. How have you found connections to the other LGBTQI2 plus Tiki fans?
My very first Oasis that I went to in 2009, I remember thinking like, wow, I'm like, there's no like queer folk here, is what I thought. And then I met Charles Phoenix, and the next day he and I were shopping, and through him I met a bunch of different like queer people. It wasn't a whole lot, but the group that was there, I was still very surprised by. I was like, oh, I'm not alone. And I've seen it like exponentially grow like ever so slightly over the years. And having groups like the Lavender Luau and everything, like we get to all kind of visibly see each other now. It's not so much like just passing each other at the event or anything like that. Now we all have like visibility for each other.
That's great. And I also want to remind people, we're going to have that happy hour, and you can also vote on the best pin design. We're going to have pins at Tiki Oasis. We usually do a photo op, so hopefully you can join us with that. I know Baby Doe's working in the background, posting that little link for you if you want to vote on our pins. We'll reveal the favorite pin Saturday at that happy hour. Up next, we have Laura Gore. She hasn't joined us yet. Marshall Shore. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I got my alphabet wrong.
I was going to say, what alphabet are you using, Bernie? Come on.
Hold up, Marshall. I didn't see Miss Kitty Baby. She's got you beaten alphabet. She's got a K for Kitty. So I'm going to have Kitty go on first. Kitty Baby, how you doing?
Unmute. Hi. My name is Miss Kitty Baby on stage. You can also call me that off stage. I'm also Kitty or Kitty Baby off stage. And I identify with she, her pronouns. I also use they, them as a neutral to try to normalize pronoun usage. And I identify as queer mostly. I'm a femme, I'm gay, but I'm also married to a trans man. So by the outside world, we could appear to be in a cisgendered heterosexual partnership, and we're very gay. And how I started finding queer people in the tiki community, or at Tiki Oasis specifically, I kind of accosted them. It was a moment of weakness after so many times seeing other visibly queer people, especially this beautiful butch femme couple. And I just really wanted to talk to them, but it felt extremely patronizing to be like, hi, you look gay and I am too, what's your name? Because everyone has so much opportunity to enjoy themselves there. So Cameron and I started Lavender Luau. We've met a lot more people since then because we have an excuse. We can hand them a pin, we can invite them to a room party. It's just really broken down that barrier.
Hey, Kitty, I want to ask you a follow-up question before we move on. Kitty, when did you and Cameron start the Facebook group Lavender Luau?
A few years ago, I don't remember. If you look at the history, it'll say when it was founded or something.
We'll do our research. Well, who else could you research but Marshall Shore, our hip historian? Maybe Marshall knows. What do you think, Marshall?
So, okay. So, I mean, I've loved Tiki. I am gay. My partner, Paul, and I in October will be celebrating 28 years of togetherness. And so I went to Tiki Oasis to go have fun. Had no idea if I was going to be the only LGBTQ person in the crowd or not. I didn't care. I was there to go have fun. And you know what? And then across a crowded room, I spy Bernie. And then later on, I see Julian. And Bernie is like, hey, don't forget to come to our photo op. And I was like, well, what photo op? And so, of course, my first photo op at Tiki Oasis was indeed for the Lavender Luau. And so it's all blossomed from there. We did have Tiki Oasis Arizona earlier this year in April. And it was great having that opportunity to chat with some of the vendors who were like, oh, I didn't know there was this group. So that was great. Kind of help, again, as we all kind of help it bloom and blossom.
All right, and thank you, Marshall. Thanks for that call out. Yeah, I know MT Kahuna, I was hoping he would join. We missed him out. It's his birthday month, so happy birthday to him. Last but not least, she is here, Sarah Green. Say hey.
Hello, Sarah Green. I use she, her pronouns. I was the Miss Tiki Oasis finalist. I was on that group of lovely ladies in 2019 and went by Justice Von Tiki. So you may know me as that. I had a little bit more hair then, but not much. I like to keep it short. I identify as bisexual or queer. And I'm really excited about this group in particular because I think coming in to Tiki Oasis, I've been to a handful, probably 3 Tiki Oasis events now. But to be honest, my group of Tiki friends is very straight. So I think, right? So coming into that group initially, I've got a lot of really fantastic straight ally friends. But my friend group outside of Tiki is actually very queer and very trans. So what I'm trying to do is bring those folks into Tiki. So I am really excited about being on this planning panel, putting this panel together, and really honored you guys wanted me to speak on it too. But to me, this has been an opportunity to connect with folks that are queer in the Tiki scene. So I'm really excited. I'm excited about everybody listening, and I hope that everybody joins the happy hour so that we can get to know each other more. We can have more queer Tiki friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I kind of was hoping Sarah would moderate, but really I think it'd be great. It's great that she's on the panel because she can really talk more. I'm going to keep that moderator hat on. I'm going to push us on to the next question. Why do you think queer folks are so much into Tiki? What do y'all think? Conga, Cam, can you start us off?
I think for myself, I always look for the unusual or interesting things. It's just mainstream, normal stuff is not for me. It's kind of passe. And I think maybe it's a stereotype. We have better taste. So that's why.
Okay, I kind of like to pause a little bit. What do you all think? Eric, Julian, Miss Kitty Baby, if you want to go in order, that's great, or other chime in.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. When I first started like going to tiki bars and like kind of getting introduced in this culture, there's a level of campiness that I think you can find, especially in places like, my inaugural tiki bar, which was Trader Sam's and Shannon Tiki Room in Disneyland. And so I think there's naturally, for me, like I'm attracted to camp within a queer culture, like and Pulp Fiction, like the campiness that can be found in there. And so I saw a lot of parallels there. So that's kind of why I think I'm attracted to it. It's just this level of fun. And then as the years have gone and I've really dug into deeper to really understand the history of how Tiki, American Tiki culture in particular, got to where it was, like I just see like a lot of crossover. And then I also love dressing fabulously. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I want to jump in and agree on that. Like, it is always fun, like when you're in a scene, like going to like a rockabilly show or going to a punk show, like you do put on like that outfit and it does have like that moment. And that is kind of what Tiki is about too, is like wearing the fun, vintage, bright colored Hawaiian shirts, which we're also rescuing from landfills, which is great. These shirts that have been around, 50, 60 years. This one's probably like from the 60s. Yeah, it's kind of like the idea of also like escapism. And I think that like a lot of us probably struggled with our sexuality and identity along the way. And personally speaking, I had things like classics like, Birdie Bunch and Bewitched and things like that to watch. That was like my space away. And I remember being introduced to like Tiki concept from the Brady Bunch when they go to Hawaii.
Go ahead.
I want to jump in on that. I agree 100% with the camp part of it. And I feel like some of us that kind of exist in over-the-top queer spaces, whether it's arts and entertainment or just what the art that we consume, it's like you see some of the people that come to big Tiki events that may not really indulge in that off of Tiki events. And we go there and we're like, oh yeah, this thing. It's very normalized for us, that hypergender, the plumage, the camp, the sexuality of it. I mean, I'm speaking for our, people that may have been queer involved in going to Polynesian bars and cookouts and beach stuff, in the 50s and 60s and finding a space where they could, kind of chill a little bit. And that's not why queer people are involved in Tiki today. But I think that lineage kind of translates whether we know it or not.
For me, it's all of the above. I mean, it's that camp, that kitsch, that it's a bit unusual, that it's not like you're going to walk in to a mall and find everybody looking just like you, which I've never been good at, looking like everyone else. And then there's also that chance to just explore. I mean, I can remember the thrill of, gosh, 20 plus years ago, walking into a thrift store in New York City and finding all these orchids, all these orchid tiki mugs for like $10 a pop. So I'm like, ah, snag all those. So those have now made their way to Phoenix with me as well. And then you have moving to Phoenix. I mean, getting an opportunity to sit down and chat with Satan's Angel, who was a really big burlesque performer and an out lesbian. And so she had all kinds of great stories. And so I really like finding those intersections of where people don't think there are intersections. And then we start looking at Phoenix's own past. It's like, so we had our iconic tiki bar here was called the Con Tiki. It was demolished in the mid 90s. Probably the best way to view it is now that if you watch My Love Life by Marissy, he's actually driving a convertible Rolls Royce down Van Buren, and you see a bit of the Con Tiki in the background. And that was designed by James Salter, who was a very out, very much irreverent for the time period. And so he did buildings kind of a little all over the place. And if you're ever over at the Bali High and you take a little walk down Shelter Island, you will come across a hotel called Half Moon Bay. And he was the designer of that Half Moon Inn. So even right as you're sitting there at Bali High, sucking a drink out of Mr. Bali High, you can see some queer tiki history just right down the street. And I love finding those kind of those hidden gems that people don't even realize they're there until suddenly it's like somebody says, oh, you asked that question. Well, here's the answer. It may take you a while to get there, but that's the fun of it.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you. Thank you. I know that our panelist planners really wanted, our first idea was to do a then and now. Like, now, what are we up to, right? We're all here. What are we doing? And we really wanted to do a then thing too, that the history is so vast and we don't know what people's identity was. How did they fit in with the straight culture? So that's great. Thanks, Kitty Baby, for that, adding that as well. Maybe
and something else I'm really excited about is so we all know Mary Blair, the woman who designed Small World. Well, she did a line of textiles, which are only available as finished clothing. The company will not sell just yardage. And so I'm hoping if I can pull it off to be able to wear a little go-go shirt made out of Mary Blair commuter fabric. I'm so excited to be wearing Mary Blair and Tiki. Oh, I can hardly wait.
Well, back to mid-century. Nice. Sarah, I'm going to skip to you again. Last but not least, what do you think about that question?
Sure. And I really, to echo what everybody else already said, it's the plumage. It's the opportunity to be really over the top. For me, though, my experience has been more backward in that I started with interest in mid-century and tiki and then discovered the queer connection later. So, I think echoing what everybody else already said, and perhaps a topic we'll talk about later, is I love the tiki community and the opportunity to really express different parts of my own gender expression. So I do have very short hair, and in my life outside of tiki, I'm not hyper femme. So I like the opportunity to kind of play with that. And that's really a space that I do a lot of that. So, but I'll pin that for later. I think we might get to it.
So that is a great segue, because our next question is, do you feel accepted and safe when, if attending tiki events? If so, or if no, then what's up? You want to start us off with Cameron?
Can you say it one more time?
Sure. So do you feel safe and accepted if attending tiki events? If not, then what do you do?
Oh, totally. I went to my first Oasis, I think in 2013, and I went completely by myself, did not know a person there. And I had a really good time, even though I didn't really do a lot. I was kind of shy and stayed in my room a lot. It was kind of overwhelming, but I felt very safe, and the few people I did interact with and talk to were insanely friendly and welcoming. And now I've made a lot of friends that live in all different places, and I've dragged several people for the first time to Tiki Oasis who had no understanding or concept of Tiki. And I'm like, it's usually stuff you already like. You just didn't know this other thing existed. But the only other event I've been to Caliente. They're all usually, at least as far as I'm aware, I've always felt safe and just, yeah, I've never really questioned it.
What do you think, Eric? I know you haven't been to Tiki Oasis yet, but other events,
Yeah.
perhaps?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. This will be my first Tiki Oasis, but I've gone to other events, like much smaller events, like the Forbidden Island garage sale that they do every year, and kind of those trader events. And the thing is that one, I kind of have a crutch always with me at these events because my husband is also very much into Tiki. He's actually kind of brought me along with it, in all honesty. And then what's interesting is that I guess Marshall was kind of telling a story of his first Tiki Oasis where it wasn't until the end where he really saw you, Bernie, and Julian. But I kind of always just assume at Tiki events that I'm the only queer person there, right? And I think other people have said that. And I'm just always very open to talk to people, and that's where I've kind of discovered like other queer people in the mix. But frankly, like even like our straight allies have always been so welcoming. Like we have this shared bond, right? We might not have the same sexuality or same gender identity, but we're all there with the same intention. And so I generally felt very safe. But again, I do have a crutch to lean on my husband if I need to like take a moment to retreat or collect myself if it is a little overwhelming.
Julian, Kitty, Marshall?
I've always felt pretty safe at events. A lot of my like Ohana like are all mostly heterosexual, and like there's some of the best like people that I know. Like Judy Luck, you guys might know, is a go-go dancer, and she's one of my best Judys. And then there's Michelle Del Rey and Jason Lee, and a bunch of my other like Orange County friends who have all been very accepting. And I'll actually never forget that Judy was here in Palm Springs during Tiki Caliente. And somebody that was here at like dinner at the Ace made a comment about how these two guys were kissing, and like this person, they were disturbed about it. And Judy remember being like, Jules, I sat there and was like, we're in Palm Springs at a Tiki event. You cannot be surprised that you see two men kissing at the Ace. Like, if that's your issue, then you probably shouldn't be here. This isn't for you. Like, and I was like, thank you for having my back, even though I wasn't being attacked and I wasn't there. She goes, no, any attack on the gay community is attack on any of my gay friends. Like, and I will not stand for that. And so I do always feel very supported. And I feel like some of the people that have ever had issues with people that are gay, which is like very, very minimal, I would feel in the Tiki, in my experience, the Tiki scene. They don't make it known, but you can feel, and you're just like, that's cool. Like, I can be cool to your face. If I make you uncomfortable, that's fine. There's 100 other friends I have here that don't have a problem with that.
Well, and okay, so I do have to say, the first moment I walked into Tiki Oasis, I looked at the go-go dancers, and there was a female go-go dancer, and there was a male go-go dancer. And I was like, oh. So that was actually my first moment of like, oh, there is a community here. And so then it's like, and then I was watching folks, and because I had folks of friends that had gone before, I had packed a caftan for the caftan strut for the walk. And I can remember hearing someone say, why are there multiple men wearing caftans? and no one batted an eye and just kept right on walking. And I love now that there are more gender bending going on in the caftan walk, as well as the, what do you call the things?
Cabana sets.
The cabana strut. So yeah, I mean, I love that it's like, I mean, I noticed that this year at Arizona Tiki Oasis is that it was, you had men and women both in their cabana sets just walking around. So it was so nice, and it didn't matter what they identified as. They were just there to have fun, and no one saying, hey, why are you wearing that? People were just saying, you look great in that. So
I want to piggyback on that and agree. I'm also part of the Aloha Caftan Society, which is another Tiki Oasis like adjacent group. And Cameron's in it as well. And Cameron can probably agree. We've had nothing but love from these women and support from them when we show our caftan outfits. They love us. Like, we feel very supported there.
I call it Tiki drag.
Yeah.
Right. Aloha Caftan Society shout out, right? I mean,
indeed.
I think part of this too, in the tagline with the panel, is like outing ourselves, because I think the Tiki community appears to be very white and very straight. It is very white. We'll acknowledge that. But I think it appears to be more straight than it is. So that's what I like about this part of the panel, is like, you have folks that, you know, Kitty Baby had mentioned having a trans male partner, folks may assume. And so I think that's one thing that I'd really like with this community is, don't assume that everybody's straight. You know, just because they might look straight, or don't assume they're gay. I think no assumptions, but also just to really out ourselves and put ourselves out there. If you see us at Tiki events in the future, please grab one of us. Tell us you're queer too. Like, join the community and wear whatever you want. I think that's really, yes, I have felt safe in the community. I also think that, like, my gender presentation and being a white woman is that, you know, that's going to guarantee that most folks are not going to have an issue no matter what I want to wear. But I think it's important for the folks, you know, if we've got trans folks of color coming to these events, I think that that's really where we need to out ourselves as white folks in the community and support you. And how can we support you? And let's, you know, really build our queer community within the Tiki community.
Right, and I do want to give a shout. So this lei that I'm wearing is a lavender lei that I got at Arizona Tiki Oasis, and I actually had several folks come up and go, how do I get one of those? So they kind of knew what it meant because of the Lavender Luau, but didn't know quite how to access the accoutrement. So that was really cool, of just people coming and going, hey, I want one of those. And then we had this little great discussion. So yeah, I mean, I love it when people just say, hey, let's chat. I'm more than happy to sit down and chat.
Oh yeah.
Before we get too far off track, I wanted to go back to but I have something on that too, Marshall. I wanted to go back to what Sarah said about feeling safe in presentation. With my presentation, you know, I'm about the safest I can be at any of those events in the world. But also, one of the things about being a person who started being more actively queer as I was older, so I did not have a traumatic queer youth, and also presenting like this, so I do not get harassed on the street by strangers, and is not speaking for, but listening and thinking about how spaces could be safer for those that don't look like us. And you know, everyone here on the panel says that, you know, they've had a pretty good time at these events. Yes and no. There have been things that made me very uncomfortable, but they don't necessarily translate to affecting how my queerness is presented. But if a person says something like terribly racist or misogynistic, how are they going to feel when queerness is brought up? So it's sometimes feeling unsafe because I'm a marginalized person, because I see or hear some other things going on, or a lack of representation in queer art. Would a drag queen be welcomed to be on notice of, a person who is a female impersonator who likes to photo shoot tiki pinups? Would they be welcomed in that? And I know that we've talked about some of the stuff offline, a couple of us, but we're all good. We've been there. We're all at this age, at this presentation, but imagine a tween, sort of masculine, that really likes to wear hair flowers. Would they feel safe with every single adult there? Every single adult. And that is a question I can't answer yes to. If there were an elder trans woman who transitioned later and, just was very presenting trans, but really loved the event, but also didn't have the spoons to just really defend herself at every turn, would she feel welcomed and comfortable and safe? Or would she be protected by women? Because that's usually what happens, is cisgender women protect people in those environments and kind of shield people, other marginalized people. And I have had a wonderful time at Tiki Oasis. There have been some other some heavily attended annual parties that I've gone to, where I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable with those people anymore. I'm too gay. But for all of the hard conversations that happen in person, online, with Tiki Oasis specifically, since we are on their time right now, I think that there's 10 conversations happening on how can we make this enjoyable culture continue to be enjoyed and safe and welcoming to people of all levels of marginalization. So yes and no. And I'm going to take a tiny bit more time, because that Lavender Lay, when Cameron and I started the Lavender Luau and we were planning a room party, which is not an official Tiki Oasis event, but lots of different groups plan private room parties. So we're like, we're going to do this tiny room party, and Baby Doe offered, she's like, do you need anything? And I'm like, oh, we're good. We made some little buttons to hand out to people as conversation starters, because we really wanted to get this group going, and now we had an excuse, not just you look gay. And so we had our little buttons, and she bought us lavender lays that had purple mylar in them, so they were not water friendly necessarily, but they were sparkly. So it was a wonderful identifier, a wonderful excuse. And I think at any event, if we can come up with little kitschy accoutrements to just share with each other, it is hands down the easiest conversation starter.
I didn't realize the history of where this came from. So that's really cool to kind of know the background of this. So Kit and Cameron, would you give us a little, where does the name Lavender Luau even come from? Did you make that up?
Thank you, Marshall. Yeah, let's answer that, kids.
Do you want to go, Cameron, or do you want me to?
Well, actually, it's on my wall, framed right now. There's an unofficial exotica and kind of like a mishmash of a lot of different music. It's called the Lavender Jungle, and so that was part of that was inspired for the name. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I have my original copy, and then I got another couple copies, but everything I own is packed right now. Most everything. This is a cape. Couldn't find my flags. But because I wanted to hold one up and show it. So I encourage anybody that's watching to Google the Lavender Jungle. And a little bit of history on that is it's only available in CD, so you have to actually buy the CD, but what you get with that is artwork and liner notes, which we don't get with streaming music anymore. And in the liner notes, it talks about this music, and it's your typical kind of grind, lowbrow, trashy, mid-century music. And all of the songs were recorded in a gay bathhouse. and the original masters were destroyed in a morality raid. And it talks about how some of the songs refer, like it might have a male presenting singer talking about his love being female, and they're like, female, yeah, right. So there's a lot of I believe that the record label that it was on was rumored to be like a queer record label, but it didn't really exist. It was just made up for the album presentation. So from that Lavender Jungle, Cameron and I wanted to do something, and we were chatting about it, and we both, we came up with the Lavender Luau, and I said, because of this album. He's like, yeah, because of this album. So we both agreed to that. And while we really love the group to be something that fuels in-person meetups and people create friendships outside of the group, that's what we're going for. We have the catalyst can be, the Facebook group. And when we started it, I went online and I found a lavender hibiscus that is the sluttiest picture. It's like so feminine slutty, so masculine slutty, just this big slutty flower, and it's my favorite thing, and that's why I have a lavender hibiscus tattoo, and why I wear this little rhinestoned lavender luau pin. And Cameron got the tattoo as well, so yeah, we're committed. Y'all.
Okay, which means we're all going to get that tattoos, and we want to show them off at our big happy hour Zoom in 2 weeks, right? Which in fact is a great time for you to also vote now for the button, our newest pin that will be given to you from Tiki Oasis if you show up to Tiki Oasis only. So thank you. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Kitty, for really going in depth and talking about oppression and thinking about other people, for answering that question. And Marshall, that follow-up question was great. I have another question from our panel. I think I posted it in chat. We have about 10 minutes before we wrap up, so we'll see how many more questions we have. Let's see, our question was, we have a question also on YouTube from Vaughn Lamoureux. Vaughn Lamoureux, I am relatively new to the Tiki scene and have attended both Tikio and Arizona Tiki Oasis, but I feel like the gay scene at Tikio is too much of a secret. Why not have at least one LGBT event as part of the TO schedule? Oh, what do you think? Well,
that was last year, right? We did a meetup for 2019. I think that was the first like official LGBT like group gathering that was not like a room party. It was like, we're doing a photo and it's outside and everybody come. And you guys remember I had my accident and I was on crutches and I still crutched my way down. So I was like, I'm not missing this.
Well, I think Kitty Baby also and Cameron also had a room party from what I understood, right? You at one time or two times?
This is several, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to plan something, folks. We need to keep our panel going. We've got a couple more months. Start thinking about it.
Also, we're all just kind of guests of Tiki Oasis. We're not on the planning committee for the events, and so that could be something that could be brought up to Tiki Oasis if that's something that somebody wants. And I'm sure they would be open to it, but also they may have to look at the time and space that they have to address a lot of different subgroups that want to be recognized. And we can just say, Tiki Oasis is queer. It is a queer event because we're there.
Exactly.
Good point, Kitty. Thank you. And I for sure want to help out our panelists. We've been planning since March. We've been playing this thing since March. So do get in touch with us if you want to be part of the planning committee. Thank you so much on YouTube, your live comment, Vaughn Lamoureux. We appreciate that. Shall we get to that last question? We kind of have about 5 minutes for it. Does your gender or sexual expression change when interacting within the Tiki community? A couple of us kind of mentioned that. What do you think, Cameron? A little gender bending?
I think I maybe ratchet the fabulous up a little bit more. Yeah, like with the caftans, everything, I call it kind of tiki drag because I get all the jewelry and accoutrements. It's funny because I've actually started wearing in the last couple of weeks, like I'll wear an Aloha shirt on Fridays to work. Not vintage though, of course. But I kind of I kind of prefer to keep Aloha wear like to events or if I'm going to a tiki bar. But it gives me an excuse to just be that much extra. It's just to have that much more fun.
See, and I would agree with that. I mean, it's like typically, I mean, you pack the suitcase full of various outfits so you can keep swapping out throughout the day. I know I've gone down that intersection of Western fashion meets tiki with like the Western tiki shirts where it's like you have then the shoulders are now very tiki-esque. I have several tiki bolos. So I know. I realize I'm like, dang, I'm not wearing mine.
I'm wearing mine right now. I got a tiki bolo on right now.
So yeah, I know. It's like as I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, dang, I should have dressed differently. I should have worn the Hawaiian Western shirt. So I love those, again, those intersections of where you don't think, and suddenly, as I see Kitty Baby holding up her mug as well.
Yes.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about those intersections of where people don't expect. And you can find, just like we're queer, we're here, we're everywhere. Same thing is true with, it's like, you know, you can find it anywhere. So I can finally find those intersections. So.
Well, and if you think about, you know, how many queers that were maybe not out decorated the world when, you know, tropical inspired Polynesian bars were happening, how many queers were involved in that, or the costume and fashion design behind some of the iconic media that happened in the mid-century that has tropical inspired and Polynesian inspired work. So yeah, we're here to decorate for you, but it's also showing up like in things like this.
Right, exactly. When you suddenly have a unicorn tiki mug. I mean, I'm always wondering, it's like with all those textiles, there had to be some Ohana out there designing some of that textiles because some of it is just too fabulous. So, and that's the thing, until you start asking the question, you don't know. So that's one of the things I love to do is ask the question that no one's expecting. And it's like, okay, so who were the LGBTQ folks in our past that maybe were doing tiki mugs, that were doing the textiles that became the clothing that we're now wearing? Who designed those buildings that we're now walking into? And what is their background?
Anyone else on gender expressions? Sarah?
Yeah, I was going to say this one I hinted at earlier. And for me, so in my day-to-day, in my ideal world, I'm like in a pair of overalls or a flannel. Like I don't wear jewelry. I don't wear makeup, but I go to a tiki event and I'm like, okay, hold on. How many pieces of jewelry can I put on at the same time? I'm wearing the Vava Vim dress. The ladies are up to here in a push-up bra. Like for me, that is my opportunity to really play with the femme parts of my personality that in my day-to-day life, I'm like, no, I am not into that. I don't wear the heels. Even at Tiki Oasis, oh my God, my heels like that big. I can't walk in them. But it really gives me, I think that space to play with, you know, being very femme in those spaces, but like, there's also so much range of like what women and men can wear at these events. I could wear a cabana set. I could do really whatever I want. And it's that opportunity that I really love taking advantage of. So I've got my like day-to-day closet, and then I've got my like tiki closet. And you know what, if I could really get some help on the makeup, I think I'd be all the way there, right? For the I know Kitty Baby help me out, right?
I love how Kitty Baby's got her hand up. Yeah, you don't want my help. You want Kitty Baby's help on that.
Like Miss Tiki Oasis panel or pageant, when I did that, I had to pay someone. So for real, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. This is my space to really play with that femme personality. I want to compete in this pageant. This is like the most femme thing I could possibly do. And I did it. And they put makeup in my eyebrows. I did not know that was a thing. It looked really good. So
Well, at least
that's
they
my
didn't glue
favorite
down
part
your
about it.
eyebrows.
Well, it colored them in. I don't even know. The photos, I was like, okay, I don't know who she is, but she looks great.
She met her first brow pencil, y'all.
She did, okay?
And she's still in love.
She's like, they could be filled in?
Okay, we're almost our time's up, but you know, I really think this is an important question. Can we answer this really quick? Can we fit this in? For our allies, folks that are not LGBT, part of the alphabet, how can we welcome them in to our world, our queer tiki world? How can folks who aren't queer be allies to us? Can we answer that really quick in alphabetical order? Eric, you want to start us off? I see your hand.
Yeah, I love this question, and I think the one thing I've also like had a trans friend say to me is that when you see someone, just say hello, like just talk to us. We're just like you. But the one thing I want to qualify here, and have experiences at tiki events, is try not to be tokenizing. There have been several times in which I think I am making best friends with another straight couple, and like I get halfway through the conversation and they say, "Oh, we love you too. We've always wanted gay friends." So just, you know, be there, hear us out, talk to us, but we're just your friends and we're just other tiki fans.
Maybe brag to your friends that they're your queer friends, but don't tokenize us. Is that what you're saying? Kitty, you want to add to that?
I would say that, you know, how could they be better allies would be to understand that we're going to be, we want to be more visible in presentations, activities, friendships, whatever, that might be something they don't see every day. And just let it happen. You know, make it the new normal. Diversify. Be open to diversification.
And support. It's a little bit of support goes so far. It really does. It's just even if you're like in a space where none of your gay friends tend to be around, but if someone says something that's like negative, take the moment to check them, like, because that little bit of support, even though we're not there, that's accountability for yourself. And it's like, you know, I should have said something. You know, how many times have we been in a situation like, why didn't I say something? I should have said something. Say something. You know, you hear something negative, say something like, that's not very Ohana like. That's not very like what we're about here. And if you have a problem, you either need to solve it or you could not come, because that's not how we like to be here. Everybody's inclusive in Ohana. That's how I try to be.
I think also, you know, encouraging the cisgender straight guys to wear the caftans. I think it's folks using that privilege and saying, okay, you know, to make this a more welcoming space, Kitty Baby talking about, you know, a young queer person coming to these events. Why don't we get some of our older straight white dudes to show up in the caftans and open up that opportunity and say, hey, I'm doing this. It's cool if you do it. Why don't we all do it? Clothing is gender neutral, right? The whole gendered clothing thing is interesting, right? But like, if folks want to wear what they want to wear, I think straight folks can really take a more active role by showing up that way as well. That's where I stand.
I'd love to see the guys try to get up and do a Miss Tiki Oasis, like not a Mr. Tiki Oasis, like no. We're gonna put your hair up. We're giving you clip-ins. We're putting on dresses on you. We're cinching you. Like, we want to see what you can do. Show us that it's so easy to stand there and look pretty.
Eyebrow pencil, okay?
Yeah.
Well, and I think Sarah, thank you for wrapping it up with us. Our lesson for the day is eyebrow pencil, girls. Ladies, eyebrow pencil.
And gentlemen. Okay.
And gentlemen.
Oh,
So,
indeed.
yeah.
Gentlemen use them as well.
Yep.
All right, let me share my screen. Does anyone want to add anything before we go? I want to share our screen about our happy hour happening in about 2 weeks. Everyone will be able to come and join in. Let me give you a specific date. That is June 26th, Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. A happy hour for all. That's when we will reveal our special pin that you'll see at Tiki Oasis. Make sure you vote now. The link should be on YouTube Live.
Should people vote now, Bernie? Should people vote now?
Vote now. Vote now.
Vote now, or you know what happens.
Is everybody here going to be at this year's Tiki Oasis?
Yes.
Mhm.
Because we just moved, now the public knows, to Las Vegas. That's where we're at. Because of logistics and finances, I may not be able to this year. I am still working out a way to possibly be present, but unfortunately, I don't think I can this year. So sorry.
I understand, Kitty. I'm moving in the process myself. You don't even know what's in the background here, girl. I hope you make it too. I see Sheila is ready. I'm going to share our screen as a visual reminder for folks to see what we have planned. And also, I also want to share and give a big shout out. Big thank you to our Tiki planners. A couple of us are on there. You'll see a couple of pansexual, bisexual, queer. All of us want to thank you. Some of us showed up a couple of times, weren't able to continue. So thank you for those folks for planning with us. Michael Allen, Acacia, the other folks are on our panel. And there's our reminder, make sure you vote. That voting thing is in there. Our happy hour is in 2 weeks, Saturday, June 26th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Here are some other panel ideas we have. Do you have ideas? Email us. Give us some ideas. Join our panel. Yes, we want you. All right, Sheila, thank you so much for letting us do this. Thank you again to all our panelists. I'm going to stop sharing now. Sheila, you want to say goodbye? Give us a nice aloha. Goodbye. I'll turn my camera off.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Bernie, for allowing me to fly my own little multi-everything freak flag with you today. For those of you that joined the conversation, please consider a donation to the NQAPIA, a federation of LGBTQ Asian American, South Asian, Southeast Asian, and Pacific Islander organizations. We will also be collecting donations today for our lovely ASL interpreter, Karen. Thank you so much, Karen. Please make your donation via PayPal to tikioasis@gmail.com. And we hope that you will join us next month on the second Sunday of the month at 1 p.m. new time, note the new time, for our virtual July event benefiting the AAPI. It's very special. I'm very excited. And also, we hope that we will see you all in person at Tiki Oasis in San Diego, where we will also be hosting an in-person diversity and inclusion conversation presented by poet, musician, PhD, Indigenous Hikana, anti-racist educator, cat mom to Maximo, and member of our Tiki Oasis Diversity and Inclusion Council, Clarissa Bella Castaneda. And if you are interested in joining the Tiki Oasis Diversity and Inclusion Council, or if you have an idea for a future topic in our series, please do email us at info@tikioasis.com. And until next month, I can't wait to